Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you once again for the latest one of my videos. I thought I'd just come on this morning, just talk about a little bit about last night's game. I won't delve into it too deeply because obviously I discussed it in the video I posted from St Mary's when I did my player ratings. But I thought I'd just quickly go over it a little bit, talk about what Mikel Arteta had to say after the game, and also focus a little bit on Matteo Guendouzi. Who obviously wasn't involved last night, and there's quite a bit of transfer talk surrounding the young Frenchman this morning, so I thought I'd go over that as well, just give a little bit of opinion on what my thoughts on the matter are. So, last night, Arsenal won a game away from home in the Premier League. Can you believe it? Only the third time this season they've done that. Obviously, Newcastle on the opening day, West Ham under Freddie Ljungberg just before Christmas, and then last night. Very good win, I thought, well deserved. Had to ride a little bit of luck in the second half when they dropped back a little bit, perhaps got a little bit nervy. Southampton started to have a little bit more of the ball, created a couple of opportunities, but nothing too dangerous. One very good save by Martinez, but I thought Arsenal deserving winners. I thought they were very good in the first half. I liked Mikel Arteta changing formation. I thought that was quite a clever move. I thought Tierney holding Mustafi very, very good as a three centre-back. Saka again playing very well down the left, and I thought it worked well. And probably should have been leading more than 1-0 at half-time from Nketiah's goal, or Orba obviously having that really good chance when he hit the bar. As I said, second half, not quite as good. I thought Southampton were more on the front foot, but Arsenal rode that storm well, and then went forward and got the win right at the end with Joe Willock's goal. So credit to Arsenal, credit to Arteta. I thought he wanted to see a reaction after Brighton. I thought he got that. I thought the players, a lot of young players again, responded well because the spotlight's been on Arsenal in the last couple of days. I think everyone expected them to lose yesterday, just to add to the misery and the dark clouds that were beginning to hover over the Emirates. So they went up there under quite a bit of pressure, and I thought they responded well and got the win, and that'll set them up nicely for Sunday's trip to Sheffield United in the FA Cup quarter-final. Just about what Mikel Arteta had to say after the game. Arteta obviously was very happy, he was relieved. I asked him that. It was the first question I asked him was, did you feel the pressure? Was there, because everyone's been focused on Arsenal, how relieved were you? And he admitted he was very relieved to get that win. He admitted that, he said, we had 2 very difficult weeks with a lot of things happened to us. Confidence is everything in this game, and we had to lift them. But I could see that the reaction was really positive, and they were really at it. So Mikel Arteta very happy after the game with his team's performance. He spoke about Granit Xhaka. I asked him about Xhaka and the importance and how important Xhaka is to the team. I'm the first one to admit I'm not Xhaka's biggest fan. I think he's got plenty of flaws. But having said that, he's so important to Arsenal. When he doesn't play, Arsenal miss Granit Xhaka massively. And I thought him coming back in the team yesterday, they improved the way they looked tenfold. I thought dictated the play. Some of his passing was very nice. And they just look a better team when Granit Xhaka's in the side. And again, Mikel Arteta says he's a big presence. He's someone who doesn't hide. He has clear principles and values, and he puts that on the pitch every time. His commitment is excellent. He's a really good example for the rest. Some very glowing words from Arteta on Granit Xhaka. Now, I thought that was quite interesting when he says there about his principles and his values, and his commitment is excellent, and a really good example for the rest. Because when you compare that to one of his midfield partners, Matteo Guendouzi, perhaps that is. They're not attributes that Guendouzi has, and that's probably why Guendouzi wasn't in the side yesterday. Now, I asked Mikel last night about Guendouzi's absence, and Mikel wasn't in any mood to really go into it. He just flat out said, "No, I'm not going there. It was squad management." Now, I think we all know it's not squad management. Squad management's up there with the whole sort of tactical reasons answer that's given when Mesut Ozil's not in the team. We know it's not tactical reasons for Ozil, and we know yesterday it wasn't squad management for Guendouzi. It was in direct result of what happened against Brighton at the weekend and the fallout from it. I mean, obviously he got away with an FA charge for his clash with Neil Maupay, but he didn't get away with punishment from Mikel Arteta. This is the second time that Guendouzi's been left out of the squad altogether after a sort of show of attitude, really. It happened during the Dubai training camp when he got left out of the Newcastle game when they got back from Dubai, and it obviously happened again last night. Guendouzi's an interesting one for me. Now, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but there are strong reports coming from France today that Guendouzi had a meeting with Arteta and at Arsenal sort of to discuss what happened at Brighton, basically an in-house disciplinary meeting. And during that meeting, they spoke about his future, and Matteo Guendouzi suggested that maybe it would be best for all parties if he was allowed to leave this summer. And according to a report from France that I haven't been able to have verified yet, they say that Arsenal are quite open to that idea of letting Guendouzi go if they got a decent offer. The figure in France quoted was about 40 million euros, which is probably, I don't know, about 35 million pounds now. And it should something like that arrive, then Arsenal would be open to letting Matteo leave. It's a tough one. It's just my opinion on Matteo. I think it's a difficult one for Arsenal because on one hand you've got an immensely talented young player in your hands who's come on leaps and bounds since coming in from France. It's basically as unknown, settled into the Premier League, settled into a club of the stature of Arsenal really well. So he's clearly got something about him. You know, he's personality on the pitch. He's a leader on the pitch despite his young age, and he's only going to improve. You've got to remember how young he is still. He's so young. So on one hand, you don't want to lose those type of players. You don't want to lose such a really talented young player because you spend years hunting for them and scouting for them, and then when you get one in their hand to let one go doesn't sound like the best idea. But my thoughts on it are, I think Arsenal probably best if they did look to cash in on Guendouzi this summer. He's got 2 years left on his contract, the contract he signed when he arrived from Lorient. And I don't think he's going to sign a new contract now. So Arsenal are in this position where you've got 2 years. You're 2 years away from Guendouzi possibly leaving on a free transfer. You don't want to get into that position once again with a player. And if Guendouzi is a little bit unsettled and not exactly loving life under Mikel Arteta, and we've got to remember he's not playing much under Arteta. He's very much down the pecking order. Then maybe it's best to cash in this summer if you can and get a good amount of money for him because his value's only going to decrease the closer he gets to the end of his contract. So for me, I think it'd probably be a smart business decision for Arsenal to cash in now that we know they need to raise funds if they want to spend this summer because finances are so tight. And Matteo Guendouzi's quite, he's going to have a decent value on him just because of what he's done, his young age and everything like that. So if Arsenal could get a decent offer for Guendouzi around that sort of 40 million mark, to be fair, it's hard because values are going to drop all over the place because of the pandemic and the financial crisis that has hit football because of the pandemic. But I think before the pandemic, you'd want more than 40 million euros for Guendouzi just because of how young he is and how much he's got to give. And the sell-on value for whatever club potentially buys him will be huge. So I think I'd almost want more tan 40 million, or I'd certainly want 40 million and a very hefty sell-on fee, something like that inserted in the clause. But if an offer was to go, I think it'd probably be best for Arsenal to cash in now on Guendouzi. I mean, for all his talent, and he is a talented kid, he doesn't offer too much in attack when you look at assists or goals. Defensively, he's still got a lot to learn. He gets out of position, he harries around the pitch, which in one way is great, but in one way it leaves Arsenal exposed defensively because there's no real structure to that midfield. And so I think if you get that offer, like I said, for Guendouzi, accept it now, and then you can put it into someone who could really improve the team, like a Thomas Partey, a player that we know Arsenal like, we know Arteta likes, that Arsenal desperately want to sign, that Arteta wants to sign this summer. We know that Thomas Partey's pretty keen on a move to Arsenal. This summer he's not signing his new contract that's on the table from Atletico Madrid to wait and see what happens in the summer. Now, Thomas Partey isn't going to come cheap. He's got a release clause of 50 million euros that Atletico Madrid will need to receive if they're going to let one of their key players go. And Thomas Partey would improve Arsenal. There's no doubt about it. If you got a choice of who you want in your team tomorrow, starting Matteo Guendouzi or Thomas Partey, you pick Thomas Partey all day long. So that's what I'm saying about Guendouzi. I think he's a sellable asset, one who the team won't really miss. It's not going to weaken them. And then if you can spend the money that you receive on him to help you bring in Thomas Partey, a player you really want, who will improve the team, then I think it's a worthwhile decision. It's a shame on one hand to lose Guendouzi because I do think he's a talent. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on and becomes a real talent elsewhere, if he can control his temper a little bit and mature, which he certainly needs to do at the moment. But so it would be a shame in that way. But I think for Arsenal, who need to improve now, they've got a lot of other youngsters who they're going to wait on and give time to. Then because for me the midfield is the biggest thing for Arsenal. Everyone talks about defence, but I think the midfield is the biggest thing. I think if you sort that midfield out, Arsenal will be a hell of a lot better because it will give the defence more protection and it will start supporting the attack more and actually creating more for the attack. Even looking at yesterday, Arsenal's forwards were relying on a couple of long balls and then working hard for themselves to create opportunities. The midfield were offering very little in context of a supply line, Arsenal need to sort that midfield out. They need to get a really dominant player in there, aka a Thomas Partey, and then get a really creative player in there to fill the void when Ceballos goes. That has to be the key area for me for Arsenal this summer. So Guendouzi going could free up and bring in much needed revenue, much needed cash, which can then be spent on improving the team and really hopefully allowing it to make strides forward under Mikel Arteta. And so Guendouzi for Thomas Partey, for me, absolutely. If that bid comes in, if Arsenal can get a decent offer for Guendouzi, then I think it is the right time to sell. You make a big profit on what you paid for him, and then you get that money you receive and you spend it elsewhere to make an immediate improvement to the team. So that's my thoughts on it. And that's about it. Obviously, I'm off to Southampton. I'm off to Sheffield United on Sunday. Long trip, early kick-off as well, so early start for me. But I will be at Bramall Lane to report on the FA Cup quarter-final. We're speaking to Mikel Arteta later at 6 p.m. via Zoom for his pre-match press conference. So anything that I get from that will be on goal.com. So please do head over to Goal. We've got plenty on there this morning. And overnight from the Southampton game, and we'll have plenty more coming in the build-up to the game at Sheffield United. So thank you very much for joining me, everyone. I do appreciate your support, as always, on these videos. If this is the first time you've come across one of these videos and you like what you see, then please do hit that subscribe button down there somewhere or other. I will try and keep you as updated with all things Arsenal as I possibly can. Until then, until my next video, everyone, stay safe and enjoy the weather.